as the dear family and friends of Recia Deutsch. As we mourn her loss, must also celebrate the full, rich life she led. Death has taken our beloved Recia. Friends grieve in their darkened world. In their silence there is lamentation. In their tears there is loneliness. Lost in their sorrow, may they find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, O God, and be with them. For her love that united us in life and which death cannot sever. For her companionship which we shared along life's path and which still continues through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of her heart and her mind which brought us joy and happiness and now become a precious heritage of the Spirit. For all these and more, God, we give you our praise. In his sorrow, Job cried out, Adonai natan v'nai lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai mevarach. God has given, God has taken away. Blessed be the name of God. An ancient people, we are well acquainted with grief and with the valley of shadows. Death and sorrow are not strangers to us. Yet the centuries have taught us the good name endures beyond the grave, and there is strength in faith. With Job we say, Adonai natan, God you have given. You gave us a loved one who will not be forgotten. For all was good and enduring in her life, we offer the deepest thanks of our hearts. Proverbs 31. Eshet chayol mi yimsa v'rchok mibnin mikra. A woman of valor who can find, she's more precious than fine pearls. Her family trusts in her, and so they lack nothing. She does them good, never harm, all the days of her life. She perceives that her labor is rewarding. Her candle burns on into the night. She reaches out to those in need and extends her hands to the poor. She is clothed in strength and dignity, and she faces the future cheerfully. She speaks with wisdom. The law of kindness is on her lips. Her children rise up and bless her. Her husband sings her praises. Many daughters have done valiantly, but you excel them all. A poem entitled My Hereafter. Do not come when I am dead to sit beside a low green mound or bring the first daffodils, because I love them so. For I shall not be there. You cannot find me there. I will look up at you from the eyes of little children. I will bend to meet you in the swaying boughs of bud-thrilled trees and caress you with the passionate sweep of storm-filled winds. I will give you strength in your upward tread of everlasting hills. I will cool your tired body in the flow of the river. I will warm your work-glorified hands with the glow of the winter fire. I will soothe you into forgetfulness to the drop of the rain on the roof. I will speak to you out of the rhymes of the masters. I will dance with you in the lilt of the violin and make your heart leap with the bursting cadence of the organ. I will flood your soul with the flaming radiance of the sunrise and bring you peace in the tender rose and gold of the after sunset. All these have made me happy. They are part of me, and I shall become a part of them. Psalm 15. Adonai, mi yagor b'ohalecha, mi yishkon b'har kodshecha. Adonai, who may abide in your house? Who may dwell in your holy mountain? A woman of integrity who acts justly and speaks truth in her heart, who has no slander on her tongue, who does no evil to her friend and has no insult for her neighbor, who has contempt for the wicked but honors those who fear God, who gives her word and come what may does not retract, who does not exploit others for gain nor take bribes against the innocent. One who lives in this way shall never be shaken. Adonai ro'i lo echsar, bina desha yar bitzeni, almei menachot yanachaleni. Please join me now in the familiar words of the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters, and restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. I'd now like to invite Recia's granddaughters, Chelsea and Julie, and her grandson, Aaron, to come forward to share some personal thoughts about their grandmother.
So one of the last requests that our Nana made was that Julie and I write her eulogy. So we did the best we could.
So Recia, Mom, and Nana. She was a lot of things to a lot of people. A devoted wife to her late husband, Bernie, a mother who loved unconditionally, and an adoring grandmother.
We had the honor and the pleasure of being on the receiving end of her affection, wisdom, and cooking for the past 24 years of our lives.
During which time, we have learned some valuable life lessons from our beloved Nana.
Lesson number 1. Always announce your presence by walking into a room and yelling, "Bernie!" This will act to not only let everyone know that you are home, but as a signal that the trash or some other chore had in fact not yet been taken care of.
Lesson number 2. Always provide snacks, especially at the hand and foot table. Nothing makes failing to close a book of Wilds less painful than a delicious dip and cheese spread.
Sorry. And lesson number 3. In life's meaningful moments, nothing is more important than sharing those simchas with family.
Okay. Nana and I have always been close. Even with my family and me living in Michigan, we would regularly make the 4-hour drive to Cleveland to visit. This time afforded me the opportunity to spend a lot of my childhood with her. Fast forward to a couple of years ago when she moved to Flint in order to be closer to her family, and I could not have been more thrilled. Not only living 10 minutes away, I spent a lot of time with her at her apartment. Going to the movies and going out to eat were some of our favorite things to do. There was a period of time before I got my jobs where I would come over to her apartment complex every Saturday, and they would play a movie for all the residents in their theater. We would have popcorn and spend the afternoon together, and this, more than the visits to Cleveland, is what I cherish most. Laughing, crying, and talking for hours about boys and future plans is what I will miss. The best part about our talks was the complete lack of judgment from her. Nana always showed me how proud she was of me and what I have done, and was excited for my next steps to come. Not many people can say they have someone in their life who loves them more than anything, but I can. Nana, you and I will always share popcorn and talk about everything under the sun and all the things to come. Thank you for being you. I love you.
There was a period of time when I was young, before my brother and sister were born, when I was the only grandchild living locally to Nana. And each time I saw her, I was greeted with a warm embrace and the honorable title of Honey Bunny, Lovey-Dovey, Little Heart. Nana would read me book after book, and we would listen to children's music on a cassette in her car, singing silly songs like Today is Monday, Jimmy Cat Corn, or the Crocodile Song, hand motions included, obviously. Being the fantastic Nana that she is, she would let me do things that my mom would not let me do, like chew gum at the Nutcracker Ballet, which then proceeded to get all over my tights. Sorry, Mom. After we moved to Michigan, I continued to come back and spend my summers with Nana as I attended Park Day Camp. Every morning she would come into my room and wake me up gently, chanting, "Good morning, Mary Sunshine. Why do you wake so soon? You woke up all the little birds and scared away the moon." Even with over 250 miles between us, whenever there was a new accomplishment in my life, a paper I was proud of, or another goal I had achieved, the first person I would always call to share the news with was my Nana. She was always proud of us in all that we did. Thank you, Nana, for your unwavering love and support from your honey bunny, lovey-dovey little hearts.
Although we will miss her dearly, an understatement to say the least, we take solace in knowing that her hardships are over and she is finally at rest, reunited at last with the love of her life.
A Jewish proverb reads, Rak ha'ava ma'emet lanu ta'am nizchiyut b'toach chaya sha'a. Only love gives us the taste of eternity.
The number of people here today show how much love our Nana gave to her friends and family, through which her memory will live on forever. Amen.
Amen.
First of all, when she woke me up, she was not like that. She's like, get up! So, just to let you know, we all had different relationships with Nana. We used to speak every Sunday on the phone. It was like 10 a.m. every Sunday. I was going to call, and the only other time I couldn't speak with her is because Aunt Michelle was probably on the line with her, and the line was busy. We were very, very close. I didn't get to see her as much as some of my other family. So I learned to cherish every moment that I had with her. She taught me a lot about unconditional love, how to love someone when they do everything that maybe you dislike. She taught me patience. I always, and still kind of do, want everything to happen at once, but she taught me good things come to those who wait. We would always talk about my dreams, both as a professional and a music artist. She always embraced my dreams, as they said, and to this day, I hear her rooting me on. She also dealt with me as a menace. She'd yell at me for all kinds of stuff. I used to not lean in far enough for a kiss on the cheek, and she'd grab my face to make sure she got that good kiss on the cheek. She would just pull it closer. She hated when I threw stuff in the house. Guilty plenty of times. Not washing my dishes, guilty plenty of times. Bending the playing cards when shuffling. After a while, they stopped asking me to shuffle cards. There's plenty I'm sure I'm not mentioning in all this, but most importantly, she showed me what matters most in life, and that is love. I still remember her and Papa celebrating 50 years of marriage together. I want to be that guy. I want to be the guy that loves his family like Papa loved his family, like Nana loved her family. Greets everyone with kindness and knows what they want and knows their values. Nana was all of these things to me. She wasn't just family. At times, she was my best friend. So I just want to say thank you, Nana, for everything, for being yourself always. I know you and Papa will watch over us. I know you'll watch over me and help me in whatever's thrown my way, because you always believed in me. You always had my back. I love you to the moon and back. And on behalf of my family, thank you all for being here. Thank you, Rabbi.
And now we'll hear from Cheryl.
I had no idea what I was in store for 31 years ago when I was fortunate enough to be welcomed into the Deutsch family, to meet Russ and to be welcomed, and to call Recia and Bernie Mom and Dad was an honor that I will always cherish. And over the years, certainly there were a lot of ups and downs. In the beginning, there were far more ups. And over the almost 28 years or so, there were a lot more ups at the beginning, downs, the challenges became more, and unfortunately, there were more shoulds instead of wants in the last 2 years But I am so grateful that Russ and I could be there for you, Mom. In those last 2 years, virtually every single day, including the last moments. We fed you your last meal because the aides at the facility where she was, they weren't there that day. And in true Recia style, she said, green beans are cold. And I said, really, Mom? And then now I can laugh, but at the time I was frustrated. That's probably my only regret, is that I became a little frustrated with her. But we held your hand at the very end. We tucked you in, and we kissed you goodbye for that long journey back to Cleveland. And this is what I want to say to you, Russ. I've always known, and I've always heard this, that the measure of a man is the way that he treats his mother. So this much I know is true. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that you have earned the title of Moses. It was not a nickname, and it was not covet. I know that you have fulfilled your promise to your father, and I know that he is proud. And I want you to rest in peace, Mom, because it was the greatest honor of my life to be there with you at the very end.
Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl. Now invite Recia's daughter, Michelle, to come forward.
Thank you all for coming today as we bid goodbye to my mom, to Recia. My mom was a woman with very simple interests. She liked to entertain in her home. Couples club, card group, canasta, hand and foot, maj with the girls. That made her happy. She enjoyed cooking very much, whether it was everyday dinners, the tuna patties, the meatloaf, or more special meals like our birthday dinners. Or maybe it was Yontif fare for the High Holy Days, or Pesach, or Shavuot, and the kugels, the chicken soup, the knedlach that were the size of softballs that tasted delicious, that were just so soft and fluffy, or the brisket that was so tender it would just melt in your mouth. It made her happy. Mom enjoyed being with her family. Her time spent with her grandchildren teaching and playing the card game hand and foot with them and with us was truly seen by her as an event to be planned and orchestrated to the last detail that she could imagine, so that the day would be exactly as wonderful as she ever imagined. But the combination of all these things, of entertaining her family in her home and preparing the meal that they would enjoy, was by far her greatest pleasure. Holidays at Recia and Bernie's were a staple growing up. They were a treat for everyone in attendance, and not just for the delicious food, but also for the music. My story. When we were younger, my father, especially at Seder, would chant all the brachot with the bass baritone voice of an angel. No pun intended here, I assure you. I would watch my mother's face as he sang. Her eyes would close, and the corners of her mouth would lift ever so slightly, while her head would nod with approval and appreciation of his melodic gift. As he would finish, she would open her eyes, smile wide, her chest puffed with pride, and they would each reach for each other's hands and sit there holding hands at the table the whole time, the rest of the time, or until Abba needed his other hand for something, and then that was over. But it was clear in those moments of song, surrounded by her family, in her home, enjoying the food that she had so lovingly prepared, that her soul was indeed complete. She was experiencing her refuah shalema. Once my dad was no longer able to sing due to a post-surgical complication, my brothers and I tried to pick up the slack, as it were. And while the three of us are, if I do say so myself, pretty good, I could see in my mother's eyes that look of motherly pride, but not her refuah shlema. I didn't witness that again until years later, when my brother Russ chanted Kol Nidre at Yom Kippur services for his first time. Her eyes closed. The corners of her mouth ever so slightly began to lift, and she began to nod her head to the ancient melody as the sanctuary filled with Russ's voice. And when he had finished, she instinctively reached her hand to the side to grab the hand of the one next to her. It was mine. She had found once again her refuah shalema. It's no secret that Ima struggled with health issues these past few years. And every Shabbat, I would say a Misha Berach for her. But now, in her passing, she is once again united with her high school sweetheart, her Bernie, Abba, and I am certain that she, once again, has refuah shalema. Ken Yehi Ratzon.
Thank you all for your beautiful personal words. The Baal Shem Tov, the Hasidic Rebbe, observed there are three ways we mourn. The first is with tears, the second is with silence, and the third is with song. We mourn someone truly beloved, we experience all three. Tears at first, then silence as our grief settles more deeply, and finally song as we're able to celebrate the memories we hold deep in our hearts. This is a time for tears as we say our final goodbyes to Recia. We'll each remember Recia in our own way. Stuart and Lauren, Russell and Cheryl, Michelle and Alan. You'll all remember her as your beloved mother. Aaron, Michael, Julie, Chelsea, Sydney, and Andrew. You all remember Recia as a loving grandmother. Throughout her life, Recia was a devoted wife to Bernie and a caring sister and sister-in-law to Alana and Bill, and a dear aunt and cousin. Recia was born here in Cleveland on April 17, 1936, to Harry and Ida Alperin. She grew up in the Glenville neighborhood and graduated from Glenville High School. It was there that she met her high school sweetheart, Bernie. He was 2 years older than her, and they married as soon as she graduated. They were married at Silver's Temple on December 5th, 1954. Stuart was born in 56 and Russell 28 months later. And then 5 years later, Michelle was born. The family only lived on streets that began with the letter E. First Edmonton, then Eddy, Eastwood, and Edgehill. Recia and Bernie were members of Brith Emeth and raised their children there. Before the children were born, she became an X-ray technician and was state certified. When the kids got a little older, she went back to work at the Doctor's Center building at Cedar Center. She worked for Doctors Berger and Eisman until she was 54 or 55 years old. In their younger years, Recia and Bernie liked to dance. They enjoyed going to the theater and the symphony and had season tickets. And as we heard, she was a wonderful cook. Her family will remember her chopped liver, matzo balls, and tuna patties. She used to send Russ care packages at college filled with Vienna salami and veal chops. And as Michelle mentioned, Mom always let the kids pick their favorite for the birthday dinners. Michelle always picked wieners and beans, no problem. Russ also something easy like spaghetti. But Stuart always wanted shoulder steak prepared specially with mashed potatoes, a much more complicated meal for his mother. Once they were teenagers, the kids told their mom they didn't like her cooking, and so she went on strike. She decided each of them would take a turn making a meal. That is when Stuart found his passion. He made fried chicken from scratch, complete with a nice tablecloth and china. But it was Russ's meal of crunchy pasta with salami, chunks, and ragu sauce. Apparently, he didn't know you had to boil the pasta. That ended the strike. His parents went out to dinner themselves when they saw that meal, but his mom said, "I can't let my family eat like this." Recia and Bernie loved spending time with family and friends. At family get-togethers, she would play the piano while Bernie and the kids would sing or play their instruments. Recia enjoyed playing canasta and started learning to play mahjong again in her 60s. She was a life member of Hadassah and a member of the Forest City Benevolent Society. And as we heard, Recia and Bernie liked to play cards. They taught their whole family, including all the grandchildren, this card game, Hand and Foot. I feel very left out. I don't know how to play the game. I do know the crocodile song from Park Day Camp, though. So. But whenever the family got together, they played this game. In August of 2004, the family celebrated their 50th anniversary at the Ritz. So they asked the grandchildren, what would they like to do in downtown Cleveland? All the kids wanted to do was stay by the pool, pull the tables together, and play hand and foot. And they played for hours and hours. As we heard, for the last 2 years of her life, Recia moved to Flint, Michigan to live near Russ and Cheryl. She joined the synagogue and participated in programs in her apartment complex. She tried to make the most of her new surroundings. So today's a time for tears. We're saddened by the loss of Recia, but we learn much from her, especially how to care for one another. Let these tears serve to strengthen and uphold you as a family. There's a story in our tradition about a rabbi who once passed an older woman planting trees. He said, "Why are you planting trees? You'll never live to see them blossom." But the woman replied, "My ancestors planted trees, not for themselves, but for us, that we might enjoy their shade and their fruit. I too do the same for all those that will come after me." Recia planted an orchard for each one of us, an orchard filled with devotion and with love, and these will always be here for us. We must be grateful that we're able to share in her life. Tomorrow there'll be fewer tears, more silence. As the Baal Shem Tov noted, it will be a time for pondering, a time for contemplation. Recia will become a greater part of our characters and our beings as we integrate those memories and values she taught us into our own selves. But finally, there'll come a time for song. The time will come when we can celebrate her, We recall all that we learned from Recia and how she touched each of our lives. May she rest in peace. Zecher Tzadika Livracha. May the memory of Recia Deutsch be a blessing. Amen. Let us pause for a moment of silence as we each remember Recia in our own hearts. Birth is a beginning, and death a destination. But life is a journey, a going, a growing from stage to stage, from childhood to maturity and youth to age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion, and then perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength, or strength to weakness and often back again. From health to sickness and back, we pray to health again. From offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, and grief to understanding, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat to defeat, until looking backward or ahead, we see victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey, stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning and death a destination, but life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage made stage by stage to life everlasting. Amen. If you're able, please rise now for El Malei Rachamim. El Malei Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Hamsei Menocha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei Hashchina, Im Kedoshim Atehorim, Kezora Harakia Mazhirim, Et Nishmat, Rivka Bat, Hershel Ve'asna, Shalacha La'olama, Baal Harachamim, Yastirachu Beseter Kenofav La'olamim, Vayitzror Bitzror Chachayim Et Nishmata, Adonai Hu Nachalata, V'tanuach b'shalom amishkava v'nomar. Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Recia Deutsch, known in our tradition as Rivka Bat Hershel Ve'asna, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in your eternal presence, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace, and let us all say, Amen. You may be seated for a few moments. This concludes our service here, and we'll proceed from here to Mount Olive Cemetery for burial. And following burial, the Deutsch family receiving visitors at Stuart and Lauren's home, 18 Orchard Circle, Orange Village, immediately following burial and today and Saturday evening, 7 to 9 p.m.